This is the exterior, and we're going to cover a lot here, so buckle up. This is the water heater temperature pressure relief drain line, and it's higher from the ground than 6 inches, so that's too high. It's also a bad clue when all you see is the drain line, or a clue. All clues are good for something. Coming on along, this is the water heater. This is this pan. This is the safety pan. This is the safety pan drain line. It's going to drain onto the floor. We're going to discuss the water heater a little more. But there was some concern here, so it's 50 gallons. And it's manufacturer date 2016, so it's 5 years old. Insufficient clearance around the electrical service panels. This is more in our wheelhouse. This is what we're supposed to be doing today. If there's a fire in the garage, there's nothing to keep it from walking into the house. Hello? So these doors should have self-closing springs on them. And then the width has been compromised by the inset panels. I don't have a rating on here, so I'm not sure about it, so it's suspicious. There's an alarm sensor right there. What I'm really talking about is the spring. Alright. So we're moving on along. I tripped something in here. I can't find where I reset it. But anyway, that's another part of the inspection. Sprinkler controls. Moving on along. We're coming out to the street. The meter on the left is yours, or it belongs to this structure, this house. See that little wheel right there? See how it's moving? That means water's flowing into the house somewhere. We've got a failure somewhere. It has not passed the water meter test. This is the dial, and inside of it, this little sprocket. That little sprocket right there that's moving. All right, that's called a cheater wheel. It's really or cheater paddle. It's really a flow indicator. And the way it starts and stops, that means it's leaking intermittently. And so, odds are it's a commode flapper. Not sure, but if it was like a leak in the slab or something, which we hope it's not, no promises. If it's leaking consistently, we have a consistent leak. Reasonable to assume. Intermittently, we got something that's coming on and off. Nobody's in the home. It's vacant. Moving along across the parkway sidewalk. Right here. This is the check valve, the backflow prevention for the lawn sprinkler system. Well, when this home was built, it wasn't required to have a main shutoff valve. So all you have is these two isolation valves. And they're rusty. This one's broken off. You're supposed to have 3 inches of clearance underneath here so you can wrap your hands around it and service it or replace it. Look at the age. And then the irrigation box, the cavity is supposed to be lined with gravel to keep mud from coming in here like it has. So we don't have a main shutoff valve, which wasn't required when it was built. We got rusty handles, not enough clearance, no gravel, and it hasn't been serviced in a year. I mean, maybe, but I can't. That's not where I'd place my bet. I wouldn't bet on that. I'd say it hasn't been serviced. This is the Bonnie cart. That's Bonnie. She makes a cameo just about every inspection. I don't know why I like that little thing. We got some cracks between the stone and mortar right here. I don't know if the camera's picking it up very well. Looks like we had some repair over here. I mean, it's just the different shades. It looks like a lot of this has been repaired. Corner shrinkage cracks. I've learned. I just got my
quasi-annual, semi-annual, biannual pest control audit. I get a different guy every time, or woman, a different auditor every time, comes in and tells me how great I'm doing. But now, according to my auditor, the Structural Pest Control Board says any cracks in the slab foundation are conducive to wood destroying insects. Wood mulch underneath the drip line is conducive to wood destroying insects. I get it. We all have wood mulch. I've got wood mulch, but that's conducive to wood destroying insects. So that's going to make the report. The lawn sprinkler head closer than 12 inches to the structure, that's too close, that will make the report. Trees closer than 25 feet to the structure, that will make the report. Coming along, this is the gas meter over here. We're on the south side of the house. This is the closest. This is the closest one right there. We're looking between 40 and 80 psi. We're looking pretty close to 90 psi. I'm gonna leave that off. That little hole right there, that little cavity, that should be sealed. I cannot operate this condensing unit. That's the one upstairs. That's the disconnect. The thermostat will not work. And I'm not putting my batteries in it because their batteries are all corroded. So that thermostat's toast. And we got the holes here for the refrigerant piping. This old piping. That was okay back in 2002. 18 years old. Back in 2002 that was okay. But today we have stiffers so it doesn't deteriorate like that. We also have anti-theft Schrader valves as service ports. Refrigerant service ports. We have anti-theft Schrader valves today. This is what the label looks like. It's what all the labels look like. They're all faded. I did my best. I shined a flashlight on it. I tried. It looks like it's about 2 tons. It's about the smallest 2-ton I've ever seen. 2002. R22. All 3 of these are R22. All 3 of these are 2002. This equipment is engineered on paper to last 20 years. It might last 35 years. But Las Vegas is going to give you 14. They last about 14 years here. After 14 years, these 3 systems have given you all that they were ever expected to give you. Anything else you get from these 3 systems is merely a gift. All 3 of these systems are R22. No longer manufactured in the R22 refrigerant going through the systems. No longer manufactured in the United States, no longer imported into the United States. Yes, there is a stockpile. Yes, it is expensive. Yes, they do have alternative refrigerants that go into these units. And that alternative refrigerant is even less efficient than the R22 that's in these systems. These systems, based on their age, they're about 10 SEER. Today we're running 14 plus. 17 is common. It's already 50% less efficient than some of the systems that are around. You put even less efficient, and if you put it's called drop-in, you put the alternative refrigerants in these things, you put that drop-in, no other technician is really going to want to follow that guy. You might as well marry that technician that talked you into that poor patch. Really the thing to do, it's just time. It's just time. Now, according to the Texas Real Estate Commission, it works or it doesn't work. Doesn't work. It works or it doesn't work. Or was it installed properly or improperly, or is it a safety issue that the Texas Real Estate Commission thinks that you should be made aware of? Well, we're going to look at the installations, and that doesn't work. But you should know, it's going to be in the information section, not the deficiency section, but these guys are old. They're old. And I get that. Mine's old too. I got an old one at home. I'm going to ride it till it drops. I installed it new. But this is a purchase inspection, and you're buying into old systems. Just be aware of that. And these are the connections, electric disconnects. And they were sealed like they're supposed to be. And so was this. So was the meter. They're sealed like it's supposed to be. See all those gaps? Sealant shrinks and cracks and gives it up. And then water can get back up in there. I probably shouldn't be putting my hand on that. all these labels. All these labels are faded. And again, I rubbed on them, shined my flashlight on them. I extracted the data I could. I took pictures of them. This clothes dryer shoots lint right into your coils. Or it would if it wasn't clogged. If it wasn't clogged, it would. These are good things. These are called control joints. Some people call them expansion joints, call it what you will. But we expect the house to move. And those take the pressure. That's what they're there for. If this house was built this morning and it wasn't, there'd be an electric receptacle outlet back there so you could service this equipment without horsing an extension cord around the corner. But it wasn't built this morning. Kind of like the lawn sprinkler doesn't have a main shutoff valve. It wasn't required. Moving on along. Rain gutters are below grade. That's good. That's good. There should be kick-out flashing right here. Right there to kick that water, make sure it gets in that rain gutter and comes on down. There sure should. And then I don't know if you see this. I'm not talking about that dove up there. You see how the rain gutter drains right down on the roof covering? It shouldn't do that. It should have been draining over here and then coming down to this and coming down to this. They shouldn't have ran it over that way. That's poor design. It's going to cause your roof to age prematurely. Speaking of roofs, I'm going to get a ladder up here, I guess. Let's see what we can do. But it's wet. All roofs look good when they're wet. Down here, we've wanted a barbecue pit back here. Why not? Everybody likes a barbecue pit. It's like galvanized piping. Ironically, it looks nicer than the iron piping. Gas valve not in use should be capped off. There we go. Is that better? I don't know how this is going to perform for you. Moving on along. Oh. I'm not through here. These are called weep holes. We don't have them over these windows because they're wood trim. But around the foundation perimeter, we have these weep holes. Homeownership 101, all roofs leak. All walls leak. We design them so that they shed water faster than they accept it. So we have weep holes over our fenestrations where the brickwork is. Weep holes. And around the foundation perimeter. We've got one weep hole there. I was about to say we don't have any. When they put this brick, when they put all this nice flagstone in here, made it real fancy, real attractive, I think. But they covered the weep holes. The weep holes got covered. We got bushes next to the house. That's conducive to wood destroying insects. Wood mulch. Same thing as before. Same thing as before. Coming on along. These flagstones, they're not dimensionally uniform. So, I mean, I don't have a problem with it so far. One of these days. And then the steps, this is too high. That step's too high. The steps on the patio, both sides of the steps are not dimensionally uniform. So, we've got that. That's what's happening. And over here in all these bushes, we got some cracks. Come on. Got some cracks between the mortar and the bricks and the window ledge right there. That's the north window. Moving along. Shrinkage crack on the corner. Shrinkage cracks. Some people call them corner pops. Call them what you will. We saw one over there when I was talking about the cracks with the conducive to wood destroying insects. That's not a foundation problem. That other one was not a foundation problem. That is a brick problem. It's what holds the bricks up on this edge here. What happens is the cement, it's always shrinking, it's always drying. The Hoover Dam just finally dried. Brick is the only part of your house that actually grows. You'll never measure it. And the brick and the cement have different thermodynamics. They expand and contract at different rates. For that matter, so does the wood, which is the walls behind the brick. So it all moving. So this area, the seam between the foundation and the brick, is lined with a plastic sheet called flashing. It never comes to the corners. And the brick expands, concrete shrinks, and then some people call them pops, but you have these shrinkage cracks. It's aesthetic. It's an aesthetic issue, but it's not a foundation issue. There's your weather sensor for the lawn sprinkler system. I was about to say you don't have one, but you do. There's a clean out on the wall for the master bathroom. It reminds me, I don't recall seeing any clean outs. See how that's working? That's just leaking on your roof, ruining your shingles. Yeah, they're all going to get wet when it rains. But it just sits there and leaks and leaks and leaks. Over and over and over your master bathtub. Heads up on that. Tree branches touching the roof covering. We got ridge vents over here. We got some ridge vents. That's just a venting. And we got soffit vents and ridge vents. Moving on along. Nice and woodsy over here. Trees touching, rain gutter. More of the same. This sounds like a lot. These exterior receptacles, be nice if you had one over by the air conditioning units, but they should have in-use covers. Some people call them bubble covers, helmets, whatever. But anyway, so that way, this is right now it's just a weather cover. But the in-use cover, you could plug your Christmas lights in and close it, and it still would be protected. Moving on along. Wood mulch, trees touching. Thank you for putting up with me. It's a long video. We're almost through though. Don't worry. All things must come to an end. We got a little bit of cracking and peeling paint there. There's your home inspector here. And you got a little bit of cracking between the brick and mortar and the stone and mortar right up there. Now there's a detail right here. I guess this is not the best place to show it, but here we are. Between the roof covering and the fascia board, there's a little metal trim right there. That's called edge flashing. This is a rake edge flashing. Other places it's drip edge flashing. But right up in there, you see where it's lapped? It's supposed to be lapped a minimum of 10 inches, according to Corning installation manual. Now, you'll never have a problem with that. You'll probably have a problem, but not with that. And you'll probably never have a claim denied because it wasn't installed properly. But that's what it says in the manual. That's what I've learned. So, you know, it wasn't installed right. It wasn't and none of them are, hardly. I have seen very few that were installed properly. And we got one more. See this dormer up here? See the siding around it? See the siding on the roof covering right there? It's supposed to be a 2-inch gap. It's supposed to be a 2-inch gap right there, and there's not. There's not a 2-inch gap there. So that's another detail. One of these days I'm gonna. We're almost through. We're home. See the stains on the rain gutters? That means the water, and you can see the drips hanging off of it. So these rain gutters aren't diverting all the water. They're not taking it. The water's rolling off of these gutters, especially this one. This one, see those stains? It's rolling off the gutter. The gutter's draining onto the roof right there.